Go to the gym today and I was going to meet a friend. I already booked all that and I rescheduled that to be with this guy. I am on the wrong place. When you're starting to put yourself in the second room to be in the first room with the person, then it's not the being single and having a judgment about being single. That needs to just be clarified. Being single is a choice. Even if you feel like I had no choice, he left me, it's still a choice that you have to make when you are being left to choose if you want to stay single and work with yourself or if you want to get back into a new relationship directly. A wall or something, can you sense that? So that's where the antennas are. So let's put them in now, like push, push, push for real.
Welcome to the Neurohacker podcast today with Jessica Norell. I'm very happy to have you here, coming over from Stockholm.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And we met some months ago in Stockholm.
Yeah.
Through our common friend David.
Yeah.
And David is one of my best friends and brothers, seen in other episodes of this podcast. And he shared with me, Max, you should meet this friend of mine, Jessica. I don't know how to describe her, but she's a psychic, a medium. She can see people's future, crazy stories. You should connect. And luckily we did on one of my last days in Stockholm. Had a wonderful conversation, so I'm really excited to have you here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Please tell us the story of how you became the person you are today, how the magic unfolded, and I guess just from your life story we will dive deeper into different topics.
So I will make it as short as I can, but still interesting. So it all started out me being discovered for my gift that I have of reading energy, psychometry, and it was through a special circle where people meet and they do this exercises. They try to see what they are like, what is the most easiest for you to find out information from and stuff like that. And I was given a brooch, and I had never done this before. My mom actually took me there. And
so how old were you?
This is just when I was 21 or 22. I think 21 actually.
In Sweden?
Yeah, this was in Sweden. And I mean, my gift, I always knew I had it since I was very, very little. But this is where the life change came when it came to this gift. That I actually got this brooch and I held it and I saw stuff and I told them, and the mentor that she became for me later on just confirmed that everything I said was like true. So I was like, what?
Tell us the story. What did you say, or what was the task?
It's
with
more
the
like
brush?
I got names, I got a place, and I got a sensation.
So you were holding this item, this brush?
And this item tells you what it has been seeing and about the person it belongs to.
So where it has been before?
Yeah, so I could see like a trip to somewhere. I saw a sunny country or something like that. This is so long time ago, I don't remember everything. But I also saw a name, and and she was like, this is the brooch where they bought this at blah blah, and that's the name of the, she could like validate it.
Yeah, so she confirmed what you were sensing from that item.
And she had connections with a producer for a Swedish film company that was going to do this show, Sensing Murder is called. And they collect mediums to help the police to solve murders, old murders, like 10 years old that was never solved. So I got a phone call, and they asked me if I wanted to be on this show, and I was like, I came from a place where I always done acting and stuff, so I thought it was maybe like for a trailer and like a side kicks thing. And she was like, no, as a medium. I'm like, what? I mean, what? as a medium. I didn't see myself as a medium. And she said, yeah, we have talked to this mentor that I had, and she recommended you. But I was really young. I was only 22, I think, at that time. And they said, we want to make a test murder with you. So they came to my place.
A test murder?
Yeah. So they came with stuff. They came with a shoe, and I remember I could see the blood spot on the shoe, and there was like something you can put in your hair, and there were items that belonged to this person. Yeah. And I had never done this before, so I was more like, wow, what am I going to give here? But I had no expectations on myself. I mean, someone else recommended me. I mean, it's up to that person. It's not on me. So I sat down and I saw something that no one had saw. How actually she was murdered, or where the weapon were. And they were like, oh, so they said that we have to have her on the show, but we have to see if she's too young or not. So she went back and talked to her co-producer, and they decided to have me on. So it was me, and there was one of the most, she was actually ranked as one of the most famous medium in Sweden. And she was on this show also, and we had the same murder to solve. We never had a chance to meet or had a chance to talk about this. We were like getting no information. We were just getting on set, and we were both at the same hotel, but we were not allowed to sit and talk, except from this person who wanted to give me her book, just to tell me like, this is for you, and because I was so new and everything, but we were never allowed to speak about the murder.
So they wanted to make sure like you're not
getting
agreeing on what's the information
exactly, yeah. So they are many people who watch these shows thinks that we know stuff, but we know
So it was
nothing.
actually to validate that you see the same thing and backstory that the other mediums were seeing. Yeah.
And I was lucky because that first show that I recorded went very well for me. And it didn't go as well for her that maybe she would have, because she is a really good one. So I was really getting this pressure on me. So when I was supposed to do this next case, it didn't go well at all. So I noticed that this is something I need to work with when it comes to, because when you have your gift and you are in it, you cannot be in your logical or your judgment thing. You have to be just in your embrace whatever you are, because otherwise you're gonna block it.
That's a general challenge, I think, for sensing and channeling, to discern between your ego and really just channeling the divine or the universe. You cannot have the
ego. It's going to stop you from going into to where the gift really talks to you. So the third one is the one that I really, that's the one that still makes me emotional, because I felt such a connection to this woman. I felt like if I was alive when she was alive, I would have, I was alive when she was alive, but what I mean is that I could have been her friend. We had, I liked her energy, and she showed me very specific things, like how she was killed. And that's also something that the police saw, that I was mentioning something that is not in public papers. So they were like, how can she know that? So that's when they got the interest to continue interviewing me, like asking me what else can you see. They got like this a confidence in what I was saying.
And could they actually, with these cases from the television show, could they actually solve them in real life?
No, they couldn't, because this man that I saw in the third episode was a person who was moving around like in a. I felt like he was maybe working with trucks or something, because he was moving. And they couldn't find him, but he was caught. He was one of the people who murdered a little girl, who was that was a really famous one in Sweden. And when they caught him, they could also see the DNA of this woman. So they got
so
him.
He committed
and he was
a second
trucker.
Murderer, and then they
he had a lot of sex
crimes.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I also said. This is not the first time. And he had a lot of them behind him. But as I said, he was moving, so they never caught him in this matter. And as a medium, you're never evidence, and you can just take what we say as a compliment, and then you can do whatever you want with it. But for me, being 22 years old and starting out with this, having no intentions of working as a medium, I always knew I can see the future and read people and see whatever they have been through and where they are in this current state. But I never thought in my life that I was going to work with something like that. So when this was airing, I was in Australia, and I came home, and and people wanted to come in contact with me, and they were writing to the producer company, and they said they want to come in contact with you, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was actually in a crossroad. The job I was working at, they were going to close down, so I was like, I want to be a masseuse, and why not being a masseuse and a medium then? Because healing. I have done healing since I was 10 years old. I mean, I just knew where to put my hands. So that was like already one thing in my, naturally for me to also offer, but medium and masseuse, that's a good one. So I was 25 when I started my first company, and I decided to offer my what do you say? It's not the same word in English when we talk about being like a channel, but being clairvoyant or a healer or whatever we call it. Yeah, a psychic. So that's where my path started, and from that I actually wanted to become a coach. I felt that why not complement my gift, because if my specialty is to see future, and if I go in and I help a person to see where the blocks are and what it is that holds you back, and see what will happen if you use these tools, see what outcome it can be, and what will be if you don't. So I can motivate you to really go and make that change. And if you cannot make that change, I also took courses in how you can clear programs, like all the points of view that we got, the blueprints, how to clear that. So I saw I have this holistic way to actually go in and make it step by step to see that you can actually get out of your limitations. Also complement that with body work. That is really helping, because sometimes verbally you can't really reach all the way in, and physically is the fastest way. It's like a fast track to make a change in your neurons and stuff. So I became a certified coach, and then I started to go from the USA. There is something called Access Consciousness, and that's where my tools comes from. And that's where I also wanted to do all this body work and stuff that I taught. And with that, my life changed, because I was a person who had so many limitations. I had fears. I had all this worry and always going from polarity, right and wrong, good and bad. And when I got this and it accessed my awareness, everything changed.
What kind of fears could you transform with that?
Like not being enough, like doing something wrong. That was my biggest one. What if I do this wrong? What if this is wrong and I miss out of something, or this won't happen?
So what if something's wrong that you're gonna do?
But if it was wrong, it was like that was a big thing. It was like, then I fail. Then I am not going to have a chance to make it right, because people will judge it. And the judgment was one of my biggest fears. Yeah. Because I had a judgment so strongly in myself. So
pretty common with people.
Exactly. Yeah. And today I live from a whole different perspective. Judgment, I don't see judgment as something I need to receive or perceive. I just need to question it. and ask, why do you feel this judgment? Because you already have a judgment about it. So why not own up that I can also be bad, I can also be wrong, and that's still something that is included in being me, instead of getting into judgment about it.
And it seems to me there's an evolution from judgment to preferring, to accepting whatever arises, but still having preferences in the physical world.
Yeah. In another way of saying it. Yeah. So doing all these courses, I found a formula, that's how I call it, for how to help people to quickly change the way of how they behave or how they think, and give them a new life perspective. And from that, I also wanted to more focus on people who are singles and couples, and of course in general whoever, but just because that's where we are most affected. When it comes to relationships, we are most affected of how much we have to work on. And we also are mirrored so much in relationships. And when you're trying to find a relationship or trying to find someone in your life, you are vulnerable. And that's where all these tools are so good to have, just to be sure and confident in yourself. And as I usually say, if you're not ready for pain, if you're not ready for rejection, or if you're not ready to see that this was not what you were expecting or hoping for, then you're not ready to be in this dating world at all. You have to be totally confident that whatever happens, you will handle it and you will recover from it. And if you don't have the tools, you won't. So this is where I want to be mostly now, to give people that chance to be safe, be comfortable doing this dating thing.
So you mentioned the tools people can use for the relationship. Also, I guess, for the relationship to themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we share some
of
these tools?
Of course. First of all, let's say what we all, when I saw you the first time, we were talking about something really, really valuable, and that's antennas. And that's what I really want to say. The basic first, before you even try something else, you need to be sure you are committed to yourself and you're connected with yourself. And usually today, people are have such a control issue that they have these antennas on the head, and they actually created it as a young boy or a young girl because they were not really safe in their surrounding, so they had to see what is happening so I can be safe. With that, you get the ability to really understand and feel and sense how people feel, what they think, and what they need. And people who feels that can be overwhelmed, because you start to act from a place where you are only morphing yourself to become what they need and what they feel and what they are thinking about, and you're not taking actions for you. You're doing it unconscious with the perception of what you have all the time. So
it's when people try to please the people around them, always thinking, what are they thinking about me? What are their needs?
Yeah, usually they perceive the thoughts of what the people thinking about themselves, but it converts in the filter to when you receive it, it's like you think it's you because it comes into your system. So usually I explain that when you get this information from your antennas, your nerve system starts to react to things that doesn't have to do anything with you, but your body starts to feel it, so it feels like I have a problem to solve. And how many times have I not seen in my clients that they said, I tried this and I've done this and I've done this, nothing works, because it's not yours. So when you realize it's not yours and you return to the sender, you realize it shifts, because you can never heal something that is not yours, that is in you. That's the first knowing of that this is not mine. Because when you deal with something that's yours, it disappears. Okay? So with that, I usually say that when you get this in, to your head, it starts to spin and you get all these thoughts and you're like sitting there and having a company, like sitting and watching a movie but quietly with yourself, and you have the difficulty to actually make choices because you're afraid of if it's going to be right or wrong. And with that, when I tell them how to cut it out, just to turn it down, suddenly it's totally quiet. You can't even think. So we start with that. So let's give them tools with how to do it. So we put your hands over your head, and you imagining yourself pushing down your hand palms, but you're not. You're just imagining, and you will start to sense like a magnetism energy that's pulling back, like two magnets in the same polar. Or you can feel like it's something difficult to it's going to be difficult to just go through it, like a wall or something. Can you sense that? So that's where the antennas are. So let's put them in now, like push for real until you can just touch your head. And now let's say this: everything that doesn't belong to me.
Everything that doesn't belong to me.
Return to sender.
Return to sender.
And I always get a shift when I do this because I usually get in stuff, but I'm not so affected of it anymore. But
no, it's palpable, yeah. I told you this the first time, it's palpable. It reminds me, I would call it a no mind.
Yeah.
Or deactivating layer 1 in the matrix.
Yeah.
Because it really clears out just thoughts or the mind.
Yeah. And when you know it's really done, it's when it's really quiet. If you still can think about stuff that is not necessary, I mean, as Access Consciousness say, 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and your needs are not yours. So 2% is yours. So when you feel like this is 2%, it's more like, what should I eat? What do I wear? Oh, yeah, later on I'm going to do this. That's yours. But all the rest, it's just the mass of being a collective, being in the collective grand thing. And you're not going to be helped by it, because what it does is it's closed down your intuition. And it makes it hard for you to understand what's true and what's fantasy, what's intuition and what is made up. And it also makes it hard for you to actually sense, what do I need? Because the nervous system is so like...
Do you feel also that people have like much more of these thoughts because of our modern day technology and content binge watching everywhere?
Yeah.
And then people think about the content, the videos, the stories they saw during the day.
But I would say that many of them usually feel like it gets easier when they do that, because they don't hear it as much, because they get focused into that. So that's a way of finding a place of peace.
So it actually distracts them from their own thoughts?
Yeah, because the thoughts that they have is not theirs. So they have to binge watch to just get some peace. And when you do that, it's typically a sign that you have something that you are not willing to
look at.
So I would say what as a human we can perceive others. I mean, but when you start to feel that it makes you heavy, that's when this tool is necessary. I mean, if you make me happy because you're a happy person, why would I return that to sender? I mean, that's not necessary. This is just when you feel like this is making me heavy. This is giving me a portion of something that makes me feel like I'm sad, but I don't know why, because you don't know where it comes from.
So this tool, Return to Sender, is discerning between the positive and negative emotions and just returning the negative ones?
Yeah, because the negative ones is not helpful for you. There is no need. I mean, why not perceive good stuff? And when you perceive negative stuff and it's not even yours, why? So what happens is that when you put out the negative stuff, you raise in your vibration and your frequency. And that's the goal with what I work with, how to raise your frequency. And how do I do that? not go into the negative. And how do I avoid that? With this tool, first of all. And the second tool is to expand yourself. And that means not like with a breath, like, it's more like imagining your aura and how you're like just pushing it out to become taking place in this whole building. And when you do that, you are untouchable. You are not in the low frequency place where bad stuff happens. You will just be in the flow, and things that is amazing will be attracted to you.
Does that ever melt you into everything there is, into non-duality eventually, if you basically extend to all there is in space?
If you extend to the point where you're nothing, you will be...
Or one with everything.
Exactly. Because it's the same. It's just words limiting the energy that we can be. But it's like when you feel like you can't really sense you anymore, like the physical body is the limitation of our energy. The energy is so big and our body's taking place in it. So that means that when we make our small, it's like we are sucking in the energy like this, and that's when we become really vulnerable as humans. But when we do this, we are able to meet whatever.
Can you share how can people do this at
the
home?
Expansion.
Yeah.
It's like let's do an exercise. I want you first to understand how it feels like and how they can imagine how it feels like. So let's start with just pulling energy from me. Like
I'm pulling from you.
Yeah, you're going to pull in from me.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you're taking my energy or you're getting my energy into you. So everyone is clear about that. It's going to be like when you pull me in, you're going to start like a wheel of energy from my from the occiput.
Tailbone?
The tailbone. And it comes from the back, and it's going to be like this. And you're going to put up the flow spine with me. Yeah.
In a circle.
Because when you pull, that happens. And what happens then is that my barriers goes down. And when no barriers are there, you are in high frequency. So first of all, before you want to reach someone or want to be able to get a message to someone, you of course have to have no barriers. Otherwise it will be like, what do you want? So first of all, we put them down, and that's by pulling. So when you pull with the thought of making me move towards you, and you will feel that feeling without, you're doing it actually right now. So just continue doing it, And for me, it's a sensation in the body around here. And that's what you get when you have no barriers, because we get connected. And when you do this now, it feels like something is moving like this. For me, it does when I do it. So how do you sense now when you're doing that?
When I do this?
Yeah.
Moving with my hands?
Do you sense it somewhere? No, do you sense it when you do it, when you were watching me? Can you sense it in your body somewhere where you're pull? Yeah. Can you sense it somewhere now?
I feel just how it merges more into non-duality for me, into layer 2.
So for those who's going to try this, I just want to tell, it's a sensation like I'm going to pull from you now. So I get into a place where it's like everything pauses, and it's like that for me. And what happens when I pull from you, I can feel how I can control the body. Now you're starting to disappear from me, actually. Your face is going up in small pieces. Woo! So that was interesting. I never saw that before. Okay, maybe I am much stronger in some way now. I haven't done this for a while. Okay, so the next step, what I want to, this is just to understand the feeling, the sensation of pulling. Because when you do the expansion, you are pushing out. Instead of you do this. And that's how you do it. Exactly, you're just expanding, And you will feel so light. And sometimes you feel like you want to smile because you're back at your higher awareness where you come from.
And it feels like there's a source like a spring flowing out into all directions.
Yeah. And now you are you. This is who you are, and this is what you can present with your day. So I would say the third step is make an intention for your day. Now when you have no antennas up and not thinking from what you have perceiving from people what they need, you will know what you need. So I usually say, okay, today I want to laugh. Today I want to be surprised. Today I want to feel so happy and content with what I've done. And then I start my day. And as soon as you notice that you get control, the feeling of controlling something, or someone has a need, ding, 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 they're coming up. So what you do, push them down. And you will have to do that a couple of times a day and return to sender. And this is something that you need to do a lot of times during a day, actually, in the beginning, for those who have a really issue with this. So just remember, before you go to bed and always when you wake up, this is the most important times, but still during the day, to maintain your energy levels and feeling light and being a high frequency. So if you go into relationships, so this is like the fundamental thing, because if you are going in for a date and you are perceiving people, how will you be able to really perceive this person and see the red flags and see all that? You won't stand a chance, because you need your intuition that can actually tell you, this is what I perceive from this person. I have a feeling that this person is not telling me the truth, or this is really a genuine person. You can do that when your intuition is clear, and it is when your antennas is down. So that's just for going for a date. This is fundamental.
So it helps you to become sensitive, helps you to sense the other person you're meeting, helps you to be aware of your own system and to see what shows up when you're with someone. Because
if you go without the antenna down, you will start to project and trying to look for what you're afraid of and worried of. And you won't give the person a real chance, and you won't be able either to see it. And you can also go to this date with denial, that I'm not want to see the bad stuff because I really want this to become a good date. So I'm gonna just not see the stuff. And you are able to do that with the antennas up. So you can't when they're down. You cannot lie to yourself, because you are as true as you can to yourself when the antennas is down. Just because of that should be enough to do it.
Should we dive deeper into relationships?
Yeah.
What are you sharing with people that, besides the tools we just explored, that people should know about their relationship, finding relationships?
Yeah, it's a really big subject to talk about. So let's see what kind of focus can we choose to have that could be really helpful for others. Let's see what the energy will say. So let's talk about judgment and going into relationships or being in it, because that's the biggest one probably. That's what I get that we should talk about. So let's see where we get.
Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, being single and having a judgment about being single, first of all, that needs to just be clarified, that being single is a choice. Even if you feel like I had no choice, he left me or she left me, it's still a choice that you have to make when you are being left, to choose if you want to stay single and work with yourself, or if you want to get back into a new relationship directly. It's still a choice, right? So as long as you feel like being with someone tells you how much you're valued, you will be so judgmental to being single. And you're laughing.
Yeah, because it's so funny to me right now, the idea of you are with someone because that person gives you validation, or you think the other person should give you something that you cannot give to yourself. which I see certainly in my own past, and I think most people go through that
Yeah.
in their life.
Yeah.
But it's a very freeing realization when you are completely whole as you are,
Yeah.
and then you can meet another person who is completely whole, and
Yeah.
you can make each other's life more beautiful without needing validation on certain
exactly.
things. Although I'm pretty sure there's still some residue left of that that will still come up for me in relationships.
Yeah. And I also think that many people are afraid of getting to the point where they feel so satisfied with being with themselves that they are afraid they don't want to have someone. So they don't want to do that journey, you know? And that's also something that I really want to like clarify, that coming to the point where you are loving yourself and feeling so comfortable being with you and you have an awesome life doesn't mean you don't want to share that with someone. But of course you wouldn't want to take in someone who is past experience of bad stuff, because you know that if you meet that kind of person who is not taking care of him or herself or doing the job they require to do, they will start to affect you and you will start changing this awesome life that you have, and that's what you don't want, of course. So I noticed that many people say, I am not ready to go into a relationship, and I usually say, no, you're not ready to go into a bad relationship. But if we would talk about a little bit, what would an awesome relationship be for you? And they explain it and they say, oh, I want to feel free and I want to be loved and I want to communication. Would you be ready for that? Yeah. And that's what we usually forget, that we are talking about our past experience that we don't want to achieve again. And that leads me to this, that I always say that a relationship should be what it is for you, and you should be able to design your own kind of relationship with this partner that you meet, because we are programmed to believe that relationships should look in a certain way and it should be in a certain way and it has to be in this certain way, otherwise I'm not doing what I'm taught to.
There's a lot of conditioning we have around relationship
and why would
expectations.
And why would we want to go into a relationship like that? Of course we feel like, no, I'm better alone. But if you start to desire that you want to create your own kind of, design your own relationship with this person and you do it the way you want it, then we would be more open to it, and probably we would stop saying no to these people who cannot be that kind of person. And usually also when we go into the dating phase, before we are in a relationship, you need to know what is the intention of this. What is it that you really want with this? Because you cannot be unclear, because if you go in and say, no, I want a serious relationship, and I mean serious relationship, how boring doesn't that sound? Being in a serious relationship. I want to have a fun and a relationship with ease. Then that's interesting for me. I don't want the seriousness. So think about the words we use. So when we do get to that phase, we usually don't understand that we are getting in with two different signals. I want something long term, but I'm not able to really receive you and let you in. But I can have sex with you. That feels pretty good. I could do that. And then you said, I am looking for someone that I really want to be with, but you start only having sex with people, then you are not clear with your intention. Be honest. I mean, maybe I'm not ready to go to that level, but I'm ready to have sex. Fine. And don't judge that.
Yeah, I shared with you before that one of my teachers, I saw an interview yesterday, Rick Weinman, and he shared that he suggests you should only have sex with people you're absolutely sure you don't want to be with them, or you're absolutely sure you want to be with them.
Yeah.
Because everything in between makes things confusing, and everyone we engage with sexually, we build up energetic connections and the chakras connect. And yeah, this can really create a lot of drama, I think, that we see today in relationships where
Yeah.
people get together without the really clear intentions and the clarity within themselves, but also the clarity about the relationship.
Yeah. And sometimes you also believe that I'm ready for this, and I'm never gonna do that again. And that's where one other tool comes in. Never say never. You never say never, because life will show you that could also happen. So instead you say, I would not choose, or I will not choose that again, because it's in your choice, and your choice is the strongest one you can have. So being very consequent. I love this man, Matthew Hussey. I don't know if you know who he is. He's an amazing person when it comes to this. And he says 5 + 5 is always 10. And for us people who is emotional, connected to everything, we don't listen to that. We listen to the feeling and the gut, and I just sense we have a bond. And yeah, but did you hear about all these 5 red flags? No, but we have a bond.
There's all the biochemistry going crazy.
It's the biochemistry, dopamine and everything, yeah. And when you want to be in this, even if you know it's going to be bad, as I just said in a video on my Instagram, do it. If you see red flags, you can still go into it, because your curiosity is so big, and you cannot think about not getting to know what could have happened. Do it, as long as you own the result of it, and as long as you take responsibility for how it's going to affect you, and you actually can handle it, then you do it, no problem. So with doing 5 + 5 is 10, it makes it so easy. Do logic when you know that you have experience of always getting into a relationship only because of how you feel. Then you need to start using logic. Otherwise you're gonna get screwed over and over again. So doing tools, being in the dating world, is really the fundamental. Make sure you are you when you're meeting them. And when you see the red flags, I have this mini course where you go through boundaries that you're not stepping over towards yourself, and boundaries that you're setting to someone else. And then you go through all the red flags that you have, that you can see yourself having when you get into a bad meeting with someone. You will notice what's happening to you, and also find out the red flags for them. And the third one is to really mapping out what is it that you're really searching for, because these will tell that. And then the fourth thing is I go in and higher your vibration. So when you have that, you will always go back to basic. Okay, wait a little. This is me doing this. I'm starting to not doing the things I planned. I was supposed to go to the gym today, and I was going to meet a friend. I already booked all that, and I rescheduled that to be with this guy. I am on the wrong place. So it's easier to find it.
You're not sticking to your higher self, to your own values, your own goals.
When you're starting to put yourself in the second room to be in the first room with the person, then it's not the right
I like that saying. Put yourself in the second room to be in the first room with the other person. Yeah.
That could be a quote.
Yeah.
It just made up right now here. That's awesome. So with being in the dating phase, I think it's really, really important to understand that you cannot do what you did before, because it never worked. So you need to do something different, and that actually demands bravery.
Well, and I would think that most people learn something from every relationship and kind of evolve.
Yeah.
Hopefully don't make the same mistakes again.
Yeah. But that also makes me thinking about this. How many spiritual people out there, even including me, have done this? But this had a meaning. It was meant to happen, because now I understand this and this. But wait a minute. I know enough. I can say that. I have done all that now. So if I do something, I always want to make it feel like it has some point or some meaning, otherwise it would be so sad. So of course my brain is going to start to think that. But what if we choose to not evolve from the drama and the trauma, and instead choose a partner where we can evolve with ease?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference, because otherwise I can go through all these projects of men, all these situations, I can be cheated over and over again just because I can understand it and I can handle it. But is that the quality of life that I'm asking for? And it made me really strong. Yeah, but I can get strong from other stuff also that is much better, like a retreat. Getting my own worth, value, feeling so like I wouldn't take shit instead of going through a shitty relationship to get there. The journey, it's up to you. But we cannot hide behind that all the time and say, this was meant to be. It always gives you a moment, you know, because we have to take some responsibility also for our patterns. Sounds harsh, but...
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of trauma that we have from childhood.
Yeah.
What Gabor Mate talks about a lot, and some people are addicted to reliving them.
Yeah.
Maybe not evolving so much in relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, and also because we are so familiar with it, and this is what we know, and this is what we can. This is comfortable. It's comfy.
Yeah.
Please be angry with me because it's so comfy. And please cheat on me because that's something I really know. And I know that then I have to struggle with something. And then I know I'm strong and I know that I can deal with it. Oh my God. But what if you are living in a relationship? I had a client the other day and she has been married for like 37 years. And I could see that the relationship is not, it's like over. And she confirmed that she felt that too, but she doesn't see how she would be able to be without this person. And I said, if you have been able to be for 37 years with that feeling that I saw that she has been through, then you're a really strong woman. So what if you would just put that strength to just make a choice and see how easy life can be instead? And that's so wonderful, because this is also something I work with. People who is in a relationship where they want to leave, but they don't know how. That's actually something that's really, really necessary also to focus on, and not just a couple thing and when you start to see someone. But what I want to say is that what I can do with my gift when it comes to dating is that you can save some time and some traumas from your childhood and stuff. If you come to me and you tell me, I met someone that I think is interesting here, and he or she allows me to look and see the possibilities, then I can see what kind of hinders you will have, what kind of struggles you might start to notice, because it's some difficulties there, and I can actually give you the tools for it. And I can also see this is going to be one of your patterns. You have to get out of there right now and do it now. Then you can save yourself some pain. So that is something that I have decided to do with my gift also, to really see what you can avoid and what you can change and how you can prevent stuff. And when it comes to couples, I usually see what it is that they cannot put words to. Many men has a problem to find a verbal way to communicate how they really feel.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's not something we learn.
No, exactly.
Easily, yeah. We have to figure it out for ourselves and go through programs and workshops, yeah.
And my gift is to really see that and put words to that, so they like, wow, how could she really manage to see exactly how I feel? And that makes it so much easier for the partner to understand then what this is all about. So just having someone who can interpret what you are sending out and make that into a sentence that makes sense to the partner. And that just changed the dynamics directly.
I think it's what I'm imagining and wishing for my next relationship is to start with this clarity and openness about, okay, what are our inner parts, what are traumas, what are needs. Even though I awaken to some higher place, and she maybe too, we still have some residue, some conditioning. What is that? What are we seeking in this relationship from the other person? Like, what is there?
Yeah.
Can we be clear about which needs I want to fulfill? What is my inner child saying? My inner lover, my inner warrior?
Yeah.
What are really the needs in detail? I think having such a clarity and openness and honesty, that's what I think can really be the basis for a great relationship, and what I'm looking at. Yeah.
I mean, that's what we all women would say, I want that. So that's really rare to hear from a man say, and that's a man who has really made a lot of self-work. And that's what I appreciate today, to meet so many men out there who's really working with themselves, and what kind of difference that is, and how appreciating that is. So you made me think about something you said, and I want to make an example of that, because the other day I had this, I'm dating currently right now, and I was meeting a guy, and he has this attachment that is avoiding, unsafe avoiding attachment, and I am the one who is the ambivalent, yeah. And that means that if you're avoiding me, I'm getting closer, and I am so aware of that. So when you go into a relationship, it's so valuable to really see that I am able to discuss this and tell you that my inner child right now feels neglected. And I know it's my responsibility to meet that, but it could make it easier for her to not wake up when you do this certain of things. It triggers her. So what if we could just make another way, and I give you some keys how it would make it better. Like when you have PMS, it's perfect to give the guy keys, but he never uses them in some way, I noticed. But it's so good, because then I'm including you and not excluding you and telling you I have PMS, you guys just get to deal with it. It's not my way. But what I was saying to him was, can I just ask you what it is that makes you not be in contact after you have had some time with me, and we have not had sex. We have not been intimate in that way. It has just been like body work. And I said, why do you never keep in touch after? It's so weird to me, because I start to attach to people, and I have an easy way to attach to people. I feel like, oh, I love this guy. I want to be here just because it's so easy. And he said, I think that's actually because of my attachments from childhood. He was so aware of it. I'm an avoiding person, and I usually can go for weeks and not needing anything. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting, because it's so not like me. And that made it so easy for me to not hear from him, because I really understood it. It really had nothing to do with me at all.
It's not a rejection to you, but he's just so filled with the love, he can take some time off.
Exactly. And he said, I have been thinking about you all this time. I said, how would I know if you wouldn't have said anything? And it's like, no, but inside, I'm like, yeah, he has his own bubble, and he has a good life. While you can sit and like, why isn't he? And it's always new. And I was in the question, and this is a question I think everyone can ask. When you meet someone who is the opposite, like when you are an attacher and the person is avoiding, ask yourself this: how can I put this person into my life in a way that wouldn't harm me? And I talked to my best friend about it. And I said, I think I found out a way how to put this person so it won't be triggering my inner child. And I said, it should be in the adventure place. Because whenever that person shows up, it could be like an adventure, and it's spontaneous, and it doesn't have to be with any schedule or anything. It's just like an adventure, and to see what happens when we do this, and then we won't see each other. Then I can I know how to attach to it. And I said, I'm going to try this and see if it works.
Because you have a different model about your relationship then, and different expectations.
Yeah, I don't have to, that person doesn't have to fit into something that you need to when you go into the relationship piece. Because I usually say we have different pieces like relationship, sex, friendship, health, and all this stuff. And now adventure in mine. I'm starting to create it. If you put in someone who is avoiding you and who is not really committed, don't put him in the love section, of course not. And don't put your friend into the sex piece if you love this friend and want to keep it as a friend. Because then you will start to create this person to get into your love piece, and it's all gone. But some people can do it. But like, if you get attraction with someone, don't put it in your love piece, put it in your sex. I mean, start to see the puzzle. Like,
I would say be aware what you want and what the other person wants.
Yeah, and be sure of that before you do anything. Like, where will I put this guy? So where would I put you if I was starting to talk to you? Okay, this is in the section of friendship and higher awareness stuff where I can evolve. Oh my God, that's perfect. Then I know. And if I would ever think about wanting to sleep with you, then I would have to like, no. Go back to that, because attraction is something else, and attraction is something that can be misidentified also. Because when you feel like you are having this, you're vibing, usually the brain is limited in that way and thinking that means maybe we should be together, or maybe that means we should have sex, maybe that would be awesome. Try to not go on chemical substances that comes out from your brain. Try to not be a victim for that, because that's just the brain's way to see the material to make you. It's like a drug addict thing.
I guess it also depends. Let's say as a man you just have male friends, and then you meet this woman and you become friends, but it confuses you because you don't have female friends.
The program.
And it's something you, I guess, have to get used to the energies of the other sex as friends.
Yeah, like, aren't we supposed to make children? We are supposed to get like the world, the population, you know, because the brain is like that. And it's also made for you to think after a one night stand that usually there should be no more there. But the brain could, if you have sex once more with this person, start to think about how would it be if she met my family, and you know, because you are programmed to do that.
The program, the biochemistry is running.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a difference. That's why when you go into high awareness and go into relationship or dating, it's different, because you will not get hurt the same way as when you are working from your cognitive brain. Because when you're in your cognitive brain, you are analytic, you're controlling, and you have to have a strategy. Otherwise you won't survive. That's where you have to work from. But when you go up to higher awareness, you start to see it for what it is. Okay, so this man has lied to me. Instead of going to, then I have to control him, now I have to do this, and now I have to be sure that if he does that again, I need to have a plan. Instead of being there, you can be in this position where you're like, okay, so how do I feel about it, and what do I want to do about it? Do I need this? And you will feel so clearly no, and that will be much easier to cut. But if you're afraid and you feel so hurt, you will be affected by the chemicals in your brain, and you will start to use all the control and all this other stuff, and you won't be able to get out of it. And that's what I do with my clearings. I help you to get out of that kind of place you are in your brain, to take you up where you can start seeing it differently and actually forgive the situation and forgive you, and just go further from that. So a relationship shouldn't be hard. A relationship should be something that you design together with someone. And if you cannot have that, then just don't have it. It's not easy. But that's like this or this. Either way, you have it or you don't. And if you don't, and you don't have the relationship you ask from yourself, and you have this amazing life for yourself, something meaningful, because that's what we need if we are going to be able to say no to people. If you don't have anything meaningful in your life, you will say yes to everyone just to see if there's something much more fun to do or whatever. But if you have fun in your life, you can say no easily.
Totally.
Yeah, that's the key to everything. Meaningfulness. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story from your own dating life. I think that was a really good example.
Yeah.
About how to be aware and then work with what's, has to be worked on.
Yes, and I can share this. And this will be the first time I share this in public. And that is, I was in a relationship where I knew from the beginning, this is not the person I should open up for. But we had a bond, and now you hear it. We had a bond, and we had a bond that was, from the beginning, from my perspective, only a friendship bond that we should have, and we should not start having sex. I was really clear with that. And of course, when you say that to a guy, what do you think the guy's mission is? Yeah. So...
Totally accept to not have sex with that woman.
Yeah. So we had a situation where we had to be in each other's life every day, and we just grew into each other's life. I never choose him. I was like gravitated into it because I had this karmic relationship. Oh, the word. Contract. I had a soul contract with this guy. And this guy was a copy of my dad. And my dad is the one who is the reason to my attachment issues. So they were like copies. Even my mom said, oh my God, they are like so like, even my dad's and everyone. So I could see that I am going through something that is going to be resolved. So I need to go through this. I knew it, and I knew that I will be lied to. I knew that this person is not actually a partnership person, and that person knew that too. But in some way we felt gravitated to each other, but we always said like, no, we're not together. No, we're not supposed to be together. But we were. So with that, we were like committing with, at the same time thinking that we are not. Until there came a place in my life where I felt I was actually choosing him. And I chose his kids. And I provided for them to have a home and everything. And then I found out he was cheating on me. He told me. And he said, I will never do that again. And I knew, of course you will. But what I was thinking was, I am in this situation. And I know I'm supposed to go through this because I have a soul contract. And I'm supposed to be here till I'm done. But I will do whatever it takes to handle it. And I will do exactly whatever it takes to be able to go through this without being destroyed in the end or losing me. It affected me. People saw I was changing. I gained 25 kilos in 2.5 years. I was so stressed from the inside because my brain, to go from what I just said, being afraid and needing to know what if it comes a surprise again soon. I'm not sure I will handle it because now I'm really vulnerable. Don't let it happen now. Like I was like talking like that with myself, and the stress level I had was like really making me flushed out, and my codependency just grew. And I decided to actually do the therapy where you go back in timelines, and I wanted to not become this bitch who needs to look in the phone or knowing wherever you are in GPS you or anything. I didn't want to become that kind of person. So I took responsibility for myself. I decided to go to her a couple of times to just become safe again. So I did my job. And being in the same surrounding with this person and in situations where it constantly reminded me of him not being honest to me, it was the most difficult thing to really bear with because of course it touched me. But then a second time, he was unfaithful. even if we were saying we are not together, we were still in a constellation where we were taking care of the kids and each other. And I told him, I'm not open to have an open relationship as long as you live in my house, because I don't want to have that, bringing that energy into my home. Not like he was going to be in my house, but, you know, just feeling that way. And he couldn't hold himself. He needed to do his thing. And I was more like, okay, so now we're here again. How can I make this not a trauma for myself? I decided to look at it in a totally different perspective. And I said to myself, I already knew this. This is on me. And I'm taking full responsibility of it. So I was talking to one of my other best friends, and I said, all this that happens to me is my own work. And I am so aware of that I was allowing him to do this, because I already knew from the beginning. So if I say, okay, I'm going into this, I need to know that I am designed to actually go through it without losing myself. And here I am, I'm feeling so much better than ever, and I got back my control over my body. I'm working out every day in some way. I did my work to get back that. I am doing my work when it comes to still trust people, because I can sense if I'm not able to do it. I know it. I don't have to feel that cheating is something that I'm bringing into my relationship, because I know if there is something wrong here, I will feel it. But this time, I want the choice. And if you won't give me the choice to choose if I want to be with you, because if you want to be with other people, then I will have the signal too, because my intuition will tell me. So I feel that I am safe to date, because I know whatever happens, I will handle it. I know I can. I mean, I have proof of it. So if you are unsure that you won't handle pain, don't do anything that has to do with other people. Yeah. So responsibility, ownership, own whatever happened. And it's so nice to say, I don't blame him at all. This is on me, and I owe it.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Because you're in control.
Yeah.
And you know you're connected to your
Yeah.
higher self, your deeper self.
Yeah. And just knowing that I choose that.
Yeah.
And I think that's really honorable, that I choose that, even if I knew what was going to happen. Because I was supposed to do it, because when he moved out, my dad moved in, and I had to go through my dad's stuff. And I was like, this is the two people that I have a soul contract with, and I'm done now. So when he moved out, I got back my home, and now it's like, now it's just me, and I'm free.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I feel like sharing why my ex-partner and I separated.
Yeah.
Because I see some parallels of what you mentioned, and it's been coming like slowly over months and maybe 1 or 2 years even for us. But what I could sense like the last 6 months of our relationship that we had, I would feel her not as a partner, as a romantic partner, but I would feel her as a sister. That's how I started to feel about her. And it would feel sometimes even wrong to have sex for me. So, and we had this feeling, but we were like both too afraid to break up or to communicate openly about this and discuss this. So I guess part of why we could separate was because I went to a retreat where I was by myself for several days, and then I could like really gain clarity and channel really my higher self through me, and I could sense like, why are we still together? And I absolutely know she had the same feeling, and at times she would even ask me like, hey Max, why are we together actually? I don't understand this.
No.
There's like so much crashing every day, it doesn't make sense.
No.
And when I had the time for myself, like far away on an island by myself, I could channel and sense that we were together out of fear, and our small selves holding us back, and we could both live a much more fulfilled, richer life if we step forward and make the move and move through the fear, move through the pain of separation that is there. As you say, like, there is always going to be pain in probably in relationships. It's going to happen. Yeah. But moving through it, like, is really the evolution for both of us. And so I can really see a lot of things that you said and why I felt the need to transition my past relationship.
Yeah. And what I love about this is when it's done, it's done. And the energy tells you when it's not, there's nothing else to fix or stay with. It's like I always said, if I ever get married, I wouldn't say till death do us part, because we never die. That means you still have to do with this person in the next life and your next life. So I would say, I want to be with you as long as it is with ease. And when it gets heavy and you cannot fix heaviness, then we are done. We are done with what we were supposed to do. Because it's always fixable if it is, but you will notice when it doesn't. Suddenly, it doesn't make any sense. It's
not like we didn't try anything. It's not like we're like, oh, it doesn't work. Yeah. Goodbye.
I feel like a sister. I have to leave now. Yeah. It's like not like
of
course.
I mean,
let's see if we can rekindle.
We did courses and read books and tried things, but
and you went courses. I mean, how many couples do have that luxury to do that with their partner? I mean, that's just a luxury. And I think you should share with this viewers where you find guys like yourself, where you can find guys who works with themselves and would actually ask for a course if something wasn't working. Let us know. Where are they?
Well, I can highly recommend Johan Erb and Rachel Pringle. They are doing a course for couples. Johan is doing courses for men. Rachel is doing courses for women to work on themselves, to work on their relationships, to work on intimacy. I think if you go to these types, of courses, retreats, you will find
single guys and single women.
Probably as well, yeah.
Because you are going them and you're not in a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. So there should be men out there who.
I think so. I guess everywhere where you could go as a woman to work on yourself, whether it's an activity or a group that is also open to men. Yeah. You will find these men. Although most of these groups, it's like 90% women, because men are still somewhat behind on the average. But that's the place. I mean, everywhere you go for personal growth, for personal development, for working on relationships, you can do a tantra course, a relationships course by yourself and go there, and maybe you'll meet someone. True. And come to maybe one of your, if you do something in person, speaking courses,
Because I was starting this matchmaking platform where I want just people who are interested in evolving themselves, working with themselves, and are open to actually get help if there's something that doesn't work. So they all have to do a session with me first before I manually say, yes, you are allowed to go into this platform, to secure for the women and the men that we have, this is handpicked. And there is so hard to find these men. That's why I have paused this. So whenever I see them, and if you are listening and you're a man and you want to find someone that also likes evolving, please contact me, and I can maybe start this platform and make it run, because it would be so interesting to see people finding each other with the same interests and the same intentions.
Might have a higher chance to meet someone interesting than using Tinder.
Yeah, exactly. This will be like more controlled and more safe also.
Wonderful. Yeah. Feel this was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, I loved it.
Is there anything else you want to share with the audience? Anything that wants to come through, or sharing your website, your offerings? Yeah. We will also link it down below, of course, your social media.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of things I actually do. do for different kinds of things, but when it comes to the international, it's usually video calls, and there is a lot you can do there. But for those who actually have a place in Sweden, I would say that to really get beyond the limitations, the fears and the resistance that we have inside us, to clear that away, there is one special treatment called access bars. And
Access bars?
Yeah, I can never talk enough about that one. But you can also watch a video on my website where it shows what happens in your brain when you're actually receiving it. And that changed my life. Access bars and these tools changed my life totally. So I would say that if you feel like you are a person who lives from judgment, who lives from fear, and who lives from worries and polarity, right and wrong, good and bad, then check out my Instagram, because I have a lot of videos over there how you can use the tools, but also clearings that I work with. You can work that out. Just if you want to become more of you and live from the awareness, then I got the tools for it and the treatment for it. And I also want to say that sometimes we don't understand how strong we are. But if you just look back and see what you've gone through, that really validates how strong you truly are. So if you could do all that, then you will be able to pull off to have a good, healthy relationship also, because I think that's what people fear. How do I do that? How do I maintain that, and how do I keep it and not run away from it? And that's also something that you can also get help with.